Well, everybody, I'm back and I'm really excited. I'm starting my clock, and we have just a superstar in the house. He's my dear friend, Pete Adams. And sometimes Pete's been on the show many times. We take people and their wisdom and their expertise for granted, but Pete is he's an author, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's a baller in the real estate market for how many decades, Pete?
Oh, I don't know,
Okay,
25, two decades anyways.
okay, 2 decades. He's a broker. He has founded many businesses, and he's an expert in the law of attraction. And this is what I know. I have seen him. We've been friends, me and his wife Robin, and we included Pete in this. But I've seen him go through difficult times and watched how he navigated that. And he is definitely an extremely successful entrepreneur. But he and Robin are very philanthropic. And today he's going to be talking to us about the creative power of your mind or mental equivalents, and he's going to walk us through what that would look like. So, Pete Adams, all the way from hot Florida, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Radio Network. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Constance, great to be back on your awesome show. Yeah, it is pretty hot down here in Florida, and it has been for a while. But hey, that's just how it is. It's summer in Florida. It's hot, nothing.
Yeah,
But we've been really fortunate. The last couple of hurricanes missed us, so we're
yeah.
blessed there for sure. And yeah, just as always, love coming on your show because it's like it's we get to share what we know and help people all over the world, and that's makes me feel good.
Yeah, well, let's just get into the creative power of your mind, mental equivalence. So explain to us what what does the term mental equivalence mean, and why is it so important with the law of attraction and manifesting?
Great question. I'll be happy to answer that one for you, Constance. The the whole the, the real key to being able to create anything in your experience is you've got to have the mental equivalent of it in your mind. And what I mean by that is you've got to be able to see it, feel it, live it before it will show up in your experience. So by having the mental equivalent of what you desire in your mind, and that is when you can go there and create that equivalent of the experience in your mind as it will be when it does show up in your reality is the key to having and demonstrating anything. It all comes down to your imagination. And a lot of people think your imagination just for daydreaming. Well, that's not true at all. The reason you have your imagination is so that you can create what you desire in your reality. That's how powerful and how important it is.
That's so with mental equivalent is what we thinking, feeling, and imagining on the inside
Exactly.
first.
Yes, because everything everything comes from the inside through you to the outside in your experience. It doesn't come drop in from out of the sky. It comes through you, and you got to create that pathway for it so that it can show up in your reality instead of having, like, say, limiting beliefs, which basically keep what you desire from showing up in your reality because you're blocking it. You're blocking it with your misguided beliefs rather than having the right mindset where you know that what you want and it's on its way to you, and it's almost like opening up the faucet and letting the water come out. It's things have to flow through you, and that's how it works.
Well, I've heard you say many times life is not happening to us, it's happening through us. What
Uh,
does
that
that mean? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah, exactly what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to convey, class is, yeah, it's just like everything you know things don't happen to you; they happen through you, and you create that pathway with your what you think about. And when I practice my hour of power, it's like I get into the feeling, and I'm living what I desire in that moment in my mind's eye. And that is, that's why I've had great success in manifesting things, is because I have there's a process. And once you understand the process, you can, anybody can do the same thing and get the same results. We all have this ability.
Yeah. So life is happening through what we think, what we believe, what we imagine, and what we feel. We can change that at any time.
Exactly, exactly. And then until you do change how
Mhm.
you're thinking and believing and what your experience is, and things are not going to change until you have to change yourself and change like Constance just said, you got to change your beliefs about what's possible, you know, and once you change the your belief system, when you start believing in better things, like I can be successful rather than I'm a failure and I'm never going to be anything.
Mhm.
Once you've got to be able to, you've got to have that positive self-talk, because you've got to talk yourself into it, and you got to talk your mind into it.
So we must mentally first be and have what we want on the inside before it is out pictured on the outside.
That, as I could not have said it any better, Constance. That's
So
just how it
anybody
is.
can do this. I mean, in Africa, I'm just saying this for everybody. Come on, people, it's September. I mean, you could do this. So Pete, I know you've had all kind of manifestation stuff happen in your life. Give us one example of a time when you use this whole mental equivalent process and had success with it.
Okay, I would love to. For people that haven't read my book, Visual Festation, yet, I'm going to share a story about the chapter called "The Vision House," and
Oh
what
yeah.
it goes back to. I remember we had this conversation up in Atlanta when we visited Constance at lunch, and it was just like telling it firsthand was just so powerful. So, what happened was, in 2006, Robin and I went out on vacation out to Breckenridge, Colorado, on a winter vacation for my birthday. And one morning we were going snowmobiling, and we drove up this road, and there was some beautiful houses on a side of a mountain. They were just magnificent.
Mhm.
And I had already like had a lot of stuff on my vision board show up, so I was looking for some new material for my vision board. So, anyways, after snowmobiling, we went back into that subdivision, and we drove through the whole place until we found the house that had the absolute best view in the whole subdivision. The house is beautiful. So I took pictures of the what it looked like from the road. I didn't trespass on the people's property, and
Mhm.
I took pictures of the house, and I took pictures of the view that it had. And that was it. I went home back to Florida, and not too long after, it was 2006, like 2007 and 8, we got to the financial crisis, and we were and I was in real estate, and real estate in Florida is one of the hardest hit industries.
Mhm.
And what I would do is, when I couldn't sleep, I'd go to that house in my mind, and
Mm.
and and I would visualize getting picked up at the Denver airport, and having the chauffeur drive Robin and I up, unload our bags, and I would see myself giving him like $100 tip. But I didn't know what the inside of the house looked like, so I kind of we got dropped off at the door, and I kind of didn't go in the house. But what I would do after that was, like, depending on the season, I would see myself leaving the house, seeing the view, and going down and playing golf, because the golf course is right below the house. So I played golf. I played 18 holes there, and I played there a number of times, so I kind of knew the course. So I played golf in my head. And then, if other times where I couldn't sleep, I would see myself going skiing. Leaving the house and driving to the mountain. Well, I did this quite a bit, and I mean, I would do it. I did it a lot, and then in the summer of 2011, actually it was summer of 2010, Rob and we came back from Ecuador, and it was hot as heck in Florida. So we just
Mhm.
said, let's go out to Colorado. So we rented a small place out in Colorado that was probably about 3 miles from that house. And one afternoon, Robin was surfing because we loved it out there so much in that summer that we're like
Mhm.
we got to get a place out here. So we just we just looked for a place to rent, and they said, well, check out Craigslist, because she wasn't having luck on the any realtor sites. So anyway, she's like, she goes, you gotta check this house out, and she's looking at her laptop, and I'm like, that's the house in my vision book, and she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, don't tell me it's not. I'm the guy who's been visualizing this stuff for like 3, 4 years, right? I'm like, that's the house. And we, the ladies gave us the address and we made an appointment to go see it the next morning. Well, we couldn't wait. So long story short, drove up to that subdivision. It was the house that
Mm,
was on
mm,
my
mm,
vision
mm.
board and in my vision book. And the next morning it was hilarious. We like, I had like goose flesh the whole day. And we met the owner, and we went inside the house. And inside the house, it was beyond magnificent. It was just like
Yeah, I
I
saw
could not have.
pictures
If
of it.
it,
It's
it
like,
was yeah, it was unbelievable. And I'm like, I'm trying not to like let the beans out that, yeah, I've been here about 400 times, in my head. The lady was probably thinking I was like, off my meds, and wouldn't like let us live in the place. But we hit it off with her. We hung out for about an hour, and and then we left. It was kind of like the whole rest of that day. We drive to go mountain biking down in Colorado Springs, and I'm like, do you believe that just happened? You know, and it was just like before that, I've had manifested other things, but this is what Spirit shared with me. It was just like, this stuff works, and it's just like now you're here, and it was kind of like I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like so big. And actually, the following summer, that's where I wrote the first book, Visual Festation, was
wow.
from the on the deck of the Vision House. I was
Wow.
writing outdoors. It was unbelievable, Constance.
And so for listeners, what Pete did, I asked him for that example because he ain't special. He might be special to Robin, but he took a picture, held it in his mind, thought about it, saw himself playing golf, saw himself skiing. He didn't know the person. He was in Florida. He didn't know what the inside of the house looked like. So it looks like to me, Pete, that if people would decide what they want, that the creative power of the mind, when you think about it, feel it, hold it in your imagination, that the whole universe conspires to get it to you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and the thing too, it was like it didn't like happen overnight. That's a great point I want to bring up too, is for everyone who's listening, it didn't happen overnight. So, sometimes whatever you desire to manifest, it's gotta come in, but you don't know when it's gonna come in, but you need to stay with it
Hmm.
until it does show up in your experience. Because if you stay with it, you have that focus. And I mean, the how we it ever came about, like working remotely from coming back from Ecuador and going out to Colorado, and then it showed that the house shows up, you know, and it was it wasn't a house that looked like something. It was it's the real house, the actual
Fabulous.
house. Yeah, it's like we're all creators. We all can create what we desire, but you got to believe it and you got to do your part, because if I didn't do all those visualizations, and I'm sure it wouldn't have shown up. It would just been some picture on a board that I never, you don't just put the picture on your board. You got to use the board and use your imagination, because just having it out there, you're not doing anything with it. It's like it's kind of doesn't have enough energy.
Yeah. So share with listeners how can they understand the process and some techniques with mental equivalence? What would that
Oh,
look like for listeners?
okay, I love to, Constance.
Okay.
The first thing everyone needs to do is you got to decide what
Yeah.
it is. You got to make the decision. and it's gotta, and it's gotta be important to you, 'cause it's like, if you're gonna work on these things, you gotta decide and be clear about it. You can't say, well, you know, I want to be a medical doctor, and then in the next thought you say to yourself, you want to be a monk in the Himalayas and spend your day praying. I mean, it's like, they're not, it's you get one or the other. You don't get both at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, and you got to be able to, once you know the what and you get clear on whatever the heck it is that you desire, the next thing that's just as important is you got to know, why do you want this? And you gotta go, you gotta go through the process. Write down every single reason why you want this, and stay with it. Because if you don't have passion for what you desire, you're gonna come up short. You're not going to have enough energy to stay with it until it does show up in your experience. So, the other part about the why is you've got to be able to generate the feeling of how good it feels as if it did show up in your experience already, because you've got to have passion for what you're doing, and you need to be able to generate the feeling of how good it actually feels before it shows up in your experience. Don't be one of these people that are like, well, I'll be grateful when it shows up. Well, it's well, guess what? It's not going to show up.
Mm.
That's just weak. The next thing after decide the what and the why is, you got to be able to generate the belief that it could be true for you, because
Could be.
could be true, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have these really big goals, but in the back of your mind you're like, wow, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're going to be basically, if if you can't believe that it could be true, it won't be, because it's going to become like a limiting belief to you. Because one minute you're visualizing this thing, and you're trying to get into the feeling of it being true, and then you're like, oh, it's probably not going to happen. So you're basically just shutting yourself down with the manifesting process there. And so you believe, once you can believe it can be true, and it's just like, have, gratitude is my next key. It's just like, be grateful to spirit that you have this is now true and in your life. And it's just like, if you can do all that, and then have faith, the that it's on its way to you, it's gonna happen for you. It's gonna happen, you know. And what the best way for me to describe the process is, um, just I call it my ideal scene. So
Mm-hmm.
just so right, just in your mind, it's just like, if your life was perfect, the way whatever you desire showed up, what does it look like? And you need to be able to, like, for me, it was like, what it looked like. It looked like I was playing golf in Breckenridge, Colorado. I was
Mm-hmm.
skiing in Breckenridge, Colorado, and I could see it in my mind's eye. And I kept, I walked in spirit. I was in, faith that it was going to, I didn't know when it was going to show up, but it did. And that's the process, is just, decide, know why you want it, believe it can be true for you, have gratitude now for it showing up, and stay in faith until it does.
Okay,
That's
okay, we can drop the mic now. I mean, just what you just shared was so powerful. So, Pete, the entire time, because those were a couple of years, you were in the feeling, I'm playing golf. Because the picture that you took, the view that you saw was the view that was the view of the house when you were writing the book. Is that right?
Oh yeah. There's one more thing. This is unbelievable, Constance. The day that I took the picture of the scene, it was wintertime,
Mm-hmm.
and they were building some new homes by the golf course, and there's this thing called a concrete pump, and what do is a truck will come in, like a big, cement truck, and they'll start dumping into this concrete pump, and that's how they pour the foundations. The picture on the on Craigslist that showed the property, there was a concrete pump in the background, and it was wintertime. Constance, it must have been about the same exact time that I was there taking my picture that the owner was there taking her pictures. That that blew me away. That's
Because Robin, when she went to look for the house, did not know that you had been visualizing the
oh
house. She didn't know it was the same house.
right, right.
I
Because
got you.
she didn't have it on her board. And then it was funny when she was arguing with me about it. She argued with me about it until got to the house at the address and drove by it. Then it was just like, whoa! It was just like she's like, "You're right. Yeah, I know I'm right."
And, for listeners, what Pete is sharing is that God is no respecter of person. Anybody can do this. You can create with your mind. He's told you the steps, I'm going to say the manifestation flow that you can go through. But you just have to practice it. I mean, it didn't happen for Pete, but Pete, you mentioned getting into the feeling. How can listeners get into that feeling that they already have it in the area of mental equivalent? And why is that so important?
Well, we live in a feeling universe, so it's just like
Mm,
everything is energy, and it's kind. You really need to just work with your imagination because you know with your imagination you can, if it's good, you can get into, you can see it in your mind's eye, but also you get into the feeling of like if you, let's say tomorrow you won $100 million, that you'd be pretty excited, I would think. So it's
mm-hmm,
like, so take that energy of excitement and infuse it into being the feeling that it's already done. Whatever you're working is already
mm,
finished, and it's in your experience. And then it's there's I call them my visualization techniques. And what you do is it's like you build, once you know what you want, then you build a system. And and I use the visualization techniques, like creating a vision board. Perfect example of this was, let's say you want to take your family to Disney World on vacation.
mm-hmm,
So just, go online, get pictures, and, cut them out, put them in your vision board, or create a vision board on your computer that shows, families having fun. And so that you can see these pictures, and it'll help you with your imagination to see yourself in Disney World, see your kids having a blast, and see the smiles on their faces, and that's going to make you feel good because you love your children. You've seen them happy. It's going to give you the feeling of gratitude and love. So it should be a piece
yeah,
of cake. Another technique to say with the same thing would be like scripting, where it's just like, you know, Lord, I cannot thank you enough for my amazing winter vacation in Disney World. The kids are having so much fun, and just run with it. Because and that your scripting, you should be able to get into the feeling as you write those words that it is true, and you're in that experience.
oh, that's so
Uh,
good. You
and
know, go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead, Carl, that's fine. I was just going to go through a couple more techniques real quick.
Go ahead.
The most powerful one for me has been creative visualization, because it's like,
Mm,
it's like that's what I used. Uh, you know, that's where I put most of my weight on. Is seeing it in my mind's eye and having that experience. And I've written like 3 books on this stuff, because so much of the stuff happened for me. So it's like I'm not really talking in theory here. It's like
yeah,
I did it, and you can do it. That's the thing. We all can do it. It's not just like, Constance and Pete, well, they're special. Well, we're all special, you know? So it's like, I had amazing success with it. And if you guys, I'm going to tell you how to get my book for free at the end of the show. But if you do what I teach you, and you'll have the same success.
word.
You
Well,
know,
there are universal fixed laws that can work for anybody, but I think a lot of people, Pete, might get a little discouraged. So, what can people do when they say, "Well, okay, I've been doing the stuff Pete said. I've been looking at my ideal scene. I've been grateful. I've been in the feeling place, but it don't look like things have changed for me. What do you do in the interim, in the 3D world, until that 4D is downloaded into your life?
I- my advice is stay with it because it's. Yeah, I love giving the analogy of let's when you're attracting in your miracle, okay,
Hmm.
it's just like imagine that you're on a fishing charter and you get a big marlin on the end of your line, and it's just like every day you got to turn that reel to bring that fish closer to your boat, which is your reality. And if you don't stop reeling, turning the reel, well, the fish is not going to get any closer. So you got to
Hmm.
stay with it, because it's one of the things I can share with everyone on the show is until it shows up right before the moment before everything else looks exactly the same, nothing's changing, and then
Oh, I
it
love it when
yeah,
you say that.
yeah, it
Ooh.
looks like nothing's changed, and then all of a sudden bam, you've got it. So it's like don't think for a second that it could be the next, it could be the next moment it does show up. And um and then when it's going to come in, you're going to be, wow, it worked. What else can I
Mhm.
go for? Because that's the whole thing. It's just one, like for me, where I've had the experience of manifesting things deliberately. um, I I know it works. So it's like, I do this stuff every single day. I don't just talk about it. I haven't missed my hour of power in over 20 years. It's how important it is. 'Cause the stuff works, but you've got to show up and do the work. You know.
Yeah. And once again, I'm going to say if you want to change on the outside, you change on the inside. And I wrote some, you must be equal on the inside, whatever you want on the outside. So Pete was equal on the inside. He saw himself playing golf, skiing, and all of the above. So he was focused. So Pete, how important is focus?
Oh, it's huge. Like to go back to like the having like conflicting goals. It's like once you've got to be able to focus on the one thing or the ideal scene as always being the same. You don't change it up. It's not, you can, I play golf. That's, I'm skiing, but it's the same experience in my mind's eye. But it's like I didn't go to that house in the mountains, and the next moment start thinking I'm at the seashore and it's hot out. You know, so it's like, because what happens is it's like you kind of split in your energy. If you
Yeah,
if
that's
you really,
good.
yeah, because the more focus you have, the more energy you're putting towards like one point in spirit. And the more focused you can be, the faster it's going to show up.
Yeah, because we know wherever attention goes, energy flows. And so, Pete, every day you imagine yourself skiing, then you imagine yourself playing golf, and you just rolled that over and over in your mind. You didn't know how. That's the big deal with people. You
Oh,
had no idea.
I had no idea. I just, it was, to me, the the vision house, as we call it in the book, to me that represented success.
Mhm,
That's what,
mhm.
so it was just like, if I can be living out there, in that beautiful home, I am obviously very successful. So that's what the end result was. It was success, and how amazing is it when you can spend your days, you know, doing things you love and not thinking about having a job or anything like that. So that was the success piece.
Well, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm telling all my business. I'm getting another car, and so I know what kind I want. I see it in my garage. I see my neighbors say, "Oh, you got a new car? Does Angel like that car?" Um, and I see me pulling out, and I feel the way I want to feel in that car. I see myself picking up my BFF in my new car. And so even when I pull my current car in my mind, I'm pulling in my new car. So that's an example, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you, Father, for the best deal. Thank you, Father, for guiding me to the right dealer, to the right person. To so I'm already in that car, Pete.
Constance, that is a perfect example of one of the techniques that I was about to say. And
I didn't.
yeah, it's acting as if, you
Okay.
know, because it's like you don't need to wait to be grateful. It's like get in that car, drive it,
Mhm.
because I used to do the same thing with the one of the cars I brought in. It was a car I called the color of money. It was a green Lexus. And I saw myself in that car before I had it. And then one day, my white Lexus that came in, that was, came in when I was visualizing. One day it wouldn't start, and it was hot out, and I'm like, time to get a new car. So I
Mhm.
just then then kind of I'm driving the actual one that I call it the color of money, and I'm like, I used to visualize this, and I'm like, no, now I'm doing it for real. But the feeling was the same. uh, I had the same feeling when I was actually driving the car that came in. When I didn't have the car, when I used to drive me out my older car, I saw, I saw myself in the new one, just like you did, Cons. I did the same thing, just like, I could see myself because I was doing at the time, I was doing my hour of power down at the beach. And I would see myself taking my hour of power, I call it my hour of power bag, which has my books and such in it.
Mhm.
And I could see myself, putting the beach chair and the hour of power bag into the
And
car that wasn't there yet.
wow, that is powerful. So for somebody who might be watching or listening, and you might say, "Well, I don't have the credit. I don't have the money. How am I going to get a house? How am I going to get a car?" What would you say to them, Pete?
Stay out of the house. You don't need to let God handle the details. You don't need to. It's like you know, like you don't need. It's like once you start saying, "Well, I don't have this," or "I don't have," once you if you keep saying that, all you're gonna have is a whole lot of "I don't have." That's what you're gonna get is more "I don't have." So
Yeah,
it's like you stay with it and let spirit handle the details. I mean, like for me, it's like the 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 house came in what like 4 years after I had begun visualizing it. It's like and it came in like incredible. It was just amazing. And the other thing to share with everyone is going to be a little bit down the rabbit hole is just like you can shape your reality. So it's
mhm.
like these things that you desire, you can have them. You can create that which you want. And it all starts with having that mental equivalent. You've got to create it in your mind first, and have it in your mind, have it with feeling, have gratitude for it, showing up. Have gratitude now. You don't need to wait to feel good. The sooner you feel good, the more you stay focused with it, the sooner it's going to happen for you.
I love that. Well, I'm gonna preach the Bible a little bit, Pete, and then I'm gonna ask you. There's a verse in Isaiah that says, "Come and buy without money," and I'm like, what does that mean? I read it for years, and I heard another pastor say, "You come and buy with your consciousness. You come and you buy with your beliefs." I believe you can come and buy with your imagination, and I just love that verse. So hey, I know you ain't no biblical scholar like me. I'm just messing with you, Pete.
Oh,
But
you
but
well,
but
causes. It's like I'm not the
oh, you making
you
me cry.
Yeah, well, you're just amazing. I don't know how, you just come up with these nuggets of gold. It's just like I'd never heard that before.
It
You,
says,
you know,
"Come and buy without money." It's in Isaiah. Isaiah, you guys can look it up. 50 something, and I'm like, "Come and buy without money." I pondered that in my mind until I heard it taught. So we talking about mental equivalence. And so, what other Bible references that you know of, Pete, that you
well,
can share?
I have to use my cheat sheet from my vision
Okay,
book.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for me it's Mark 11, 23 and 24, and I read this
Oh,
pretty much every day, literally. And I'll just read it off my sheet here.
okay.
For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. That is that is the whole universe in two paragraphs. That
Yeah.
that is it. Be, you know, believe that it's done, and it will be. And the buy without money. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It said,
Uh,
come and buy without money.
Phew.
Listen,
Wow. Yeah,
and then
that is amazing.
and the person said, so you come and buy. What do you buy with? You buy with your consciousness. You buy with your imagination. You buy with your beliefs. And if you believe anything in the Bible, we are all millionaires in grace. And so if
Yeah.
you're a millionaire in grace, you can come and buy what you're thinking. Just like Pete said, that your mind is so powerful. And you might say, well, y'all leaving out God. No, God is in the middle of all this. We co-creating with God. And God is the one who put these fixed universal laws that Pete is talking about.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like God is not some faraway entity like hanging out in heaven looking down on you. God is everything. So and God gave you the ability to have this human experience, but He also gave you the tools that you have, if you use them correctly, to have anything you desire. Because God wants you to have a blast. You know, and it's
Yeah.
just like that's in the better you feel, the better God feels.
Nothing but the truth. Well, hey, since you a preacher now, Pete, and you reading from the Bible and everything. So you mentioned faith, and you said something earlier. You said believe that it can happen.
Oh
Didn't you
yeah,
say that? Talk
yeah.
about faith that once people decide what they want, what role do you feel like faith
Oh,
plays in
I,
everything?
Constance, the best example I can share with anybody about having
Okay.
faith is like I remember a couple of years ago we did a show, and you talked about a woman who found out she was pregnant, but nothing was showing up on the outside in her body, but she knew the baby was coming.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's the faith part where it's just like when I put it out there as, like, let's say an intention for a goal or something I desire. I know that it's on its way to me. I just don't know the when, but I know it
Mm.
is gonna happen. It's not like it might. It's gonna happen. And yeah, and I'll write another book when it does, kind of thing. You know, that's
Wow.
that's the faith.
Well, and I just believe that for another insight into that would be that because you know that the spirit loves you and that it's going to be, you don't know how, believe me, I didn't have perfect credit like Pete had all those years. You guys know I filed bankruptcy way back in the day. So I know what it's like not to have money, know what it's like to be afraid to go on a car lot, know what it's like to will I ever purchase a house. But what I'm realizing is that Neville Goddard said, God is on your side. You need to get on your side. You need to get on your own doggone side and know that it is the love, the grace, and the power of spirit within you that's going to bring those things to pass. And all you have to do is decide what you want, all those things that Pete said. Get clear about it, hold it in your imagination, feel it, be grateful for it in advance. So I want y'all to get on your own side.
No, that's beautiful. Excuse me, because most of the time it's like we're working against ourselves, because
Mhm.
but we before I found out all this stuff works before I was aware of it. Uh, life was just kind of boring kind of thing. And then it's, you like everybody else, you just think, you wake up this every day, Monday through Friday, and you go do something you hate doing
Mm.
as a job, which is, just over broke, you know, and you like that one. Yeah. And it's just like, you can have whatever you desire. So don't, my biggest thing is don't settle, go for it, go big, but remember, don't go so big that you can't believe it, but go right to the limit. And it's like when I did my 12 crazy goals constant, in my first book, I wrote out these goals. They were like that close to being like over the line. It was just like, because I was in I had a boat. I got downsized. I was like up to my eyeballs in debt because it's like I got a job. I was making a lot less than I was making before,
Mhm.
but I was still spending like I had the old job, and then just like the biggest one was like, I have no consumer debt. I remember writing that down, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. Let's see, you know, we'll see how long that one takes to happen, right? Because it was like that close. But as I read my goals every day, um, they got closer to me. I could get into the feeling not having any consumer debt and it being true. And one of the things I used to visualize, because it's like, back when I first wrote that goal, when I walk down the end of the driveway to get the mail out of the mailbox, I just had like this sick feeling in my stomach, and,
Yeah, I've been there.
yeah, and it's just like, you know, and that was that was the current reality. But in my hour of power, you know, in the morning, I would see myself opening the mailbox, and the only thing in there was junk mail. And I could see myself, and I just have joy that's like, I don't have any more bills. And I have that feeling of joy, and I would just walk over and throw the junk mail into the barrel. Okay. Well, it didn't happen overnight, but in about 3 years, I didn't have any debt. And it's like, and before I had credit cards, I had car payments, I had student loans, I had a mortgage. I had all these bills, like
Mm.
you say, I'm a friend of Bill. Well, I was a friend of a lot of bills. And, yeah. And then it happened, I was like, I went into business and, I left a job that I hated. And my life, is, it got phenomenally better. But the thing is, it's like, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish, you know?
That's good. Man, time going by too fast, Pete. So Pete, give us just like your great example of using a mental equivalent. I see a mental equivalent like you embodying, you're becoming pregnant with, you're incubating kind of what you want. But give us one of your great examples. I know you've had some powerful
Ooh.
manifestation in your life. So share with
Oh,
listeners.
okay. This one here, as far as being unbelievable, it was it was when I did Ironman Hawaii. And after I had the 12 crazy goals, I was, I thought about what is it that I want to do next. And, and I done it, I think I done 5 Ironmans before that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want to do Hawaii. And and to get into, because Hawaii, that's like, the World Series, Wimbledon, and the
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl, and all one day. So I'm like, I want to race Ironman Hawaii. And I'm not a fast triathlete. I can finish these things, but I'm not winning them. All right. And, but there's one way to get into Ironman Hawaii, and that is through a lottery.
Mm.
So so all I have to do is manifest winning the lottery. Piece of cake, right? So I signed up for the lottery, and then I visualized every single day for 3.5 months, racing that race in my mind. And I had this DVD of the race from 2004 And I would watch that probably twice a week because it had amazing visual. It was like a vision board live. It was cool as heck. Well, on April 15th, they announced the winners of the lottery, and the first name on the list is Pete Adams, Florida.
Mm.
And that's like, is there another Pete Adams? No, that's me. Everybody's calling me to let me know. But this is where it really gets incredible, Constance. When I was racing that race in physicality, okay, it was exactly like I had visualized. So much it was scary. And the one of the things that happened in the video, well, the first thing was it started off with a swim, and they had cameras underwater, and some of the footage I watched on the video had people's feet kicking in front of you, and the announcer says, you are in Hawaii and you are in the Ironman. So the after the swim piece there, Constance, during in the video that from 2004, there's the race leaders on the bike in the middle of the lava fields. There's nobody around them, and you can see the shadow from the helicopter that's filming go right over the top of the racer and his bike.
Mm.
Okay, I'm on the Queen K Highway coming back from Hawaii. I'm in the middle of the lava fields by myself, and I can hear a helicopter coming.
Wow.
And it's just like, Constance, the
Mm.
shadow of that helicopter went right over me and right over my bike, just like the video. All right. At that point, I'm just like, I must be dead and I am in heaven because there's no way in heck this stuff can be as such a carbon copy of what I had visualized.
Mm.
And then I got back to Kona and started doing the marathon. And I saw Robin at the she was down below the Kona Brewing Company cheering me on with some more of my friends. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not dead, right? And then so then I was running the marathon portion, and I'm running along the Alihi Drive, which is right along the waterfront, and it is beautiful. And the sun was setting on the water. The water was crazy blue, and I just had this. I had gratitude for
Mm.
the next 20 miles. I was
Mm.
just in it, and this is really what will blow anybody away. The when I was at mile 24 ish on the marathon, Spirit spoke to me. I was by myself, and it was loud. And the Spirit said, "You created this.
Mm.
You created all of this.
Mm.
Way to God. That's what happened
I
for me."
believe it.
Uh, and then it was just like, it was so perfect, like the feet kicking in the swim, the shadow from the helicopter going over my bike. I created that just like the DVD in my mind, and it showed up exactly the same in my reality. If that doesn't make your head spin,
Wow.
nothing will. Yeah. I didn't
Pete,
even put that in the book because it was just like, I didn't want to turn people off. They go like, this guy's crazy, you know? But that's what
that's
happened.
powerful. And it can
Yeah.
happen. I'm gonna have to have you back for part two of mental equivalence, if you can believe that. We're almost at the end, but Pete, so anybody, before you give people how they can get your book, so anybody can create. Maybe it's not the Iron Man, like you said, maybe it's Disney World.
Yeah.
It can be anything.
It can be anything. And you have that. We all have this power. If you're
Yeah.
alive, you can have it. That's how it, that's how it is. Not like some people are born with it, other people don't have it. You all have it. And God's running through all of us, so we all have this co-creative piece that's available to us. But you know, if you don't use it, it's not going to do things on its own. It's like it's going to happen through you. Like God said, you create that mental equivalent. I created that mental equivalent of that Ironman triathlon in my mind's eye, and I lived it in physicality. So it's just like,
Wow, that's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
So, Pete, tell us. Tell listeners, anybody who's watching this, where can we get your book, your info, your website information, etc. We
Oh,
got
sure.
we
Oh,
got 3 minutes.
okay, great. Well, hey, I almost forgot to tell you, Constance. Robin finished the documentary. Been kind of been working on this documentary since 2017, right? And actually 2019, excuse me. And Robin just finished it, and it's called The Self-Fulfilling Prophecy. So
Wow.
essentially, it's my first 3 books kind of merged into a documentary that I wrote and put it, made it visual. And Spirit told me, don't think about selling this, give it away so everyone can have it. So we're tweaking it now. Well, Robin is, excuse me, and I'll have to let you know when we're going to release it, and
Okay.
we're
When you
probably
come
gonna.
back, you can tell us.
Okay, sounds great. So, anybody wants free stuff? I know everybody loves free stuff.
Free
Um,
stuff.
Free stuff. Go to peterdadams.com. That's Peter D as in Delta, Adams.com. And if you sign up for our Tools for Your Success newsletter, you'll get all of everything I've written in my 3 books. The self-study guide. We sell that for $179 on Amazon. Uh, and you get my books as ebooks, also audiobooks, and there's another 35 Law of Attraction classics in there. There's some, there's some stuff from Never
Wow.
Got It that's just amazing. Wallace Wattles, all the big ones from the past, and also we have a YouTube channel called Visual Festation. So if you do a search on me and Visual Festation, you're not gonna have a problem finding it. That's for sure. And, visit the site, subscribe, and and start making, creating the life of your dreams. It's like
Yeah.
I can show you how to do it, but I can't do it for you, and Constance can't do it for you, and just listening to the show is not going to do it for you. So
Mm-mm.
take action, and I wish you great success.
Oh, thank you, Pete. So you guys go to his website, Peter D is in Delta Adams, and he's going to give you his books free when you sign up for the newsletter, right, Pete?
Yeah,
And then
yep.
he's going to give you like 25 or 30 other books, Law of Attraction books. Come on, people. I mean, and that's why he and Robin are so blessed because they're givers. They're very philanthropic. They're serving. And Pete's whole goal is, Constance, I want to help people. I want to serve people. We're going to have you back for part 2. This was so good. Everybody, share this on your timeline. Share this on TikTok. Share it on Instagram. Share it on your Facebook, Snapchat, whatever you're using. Share this because it is the will of God that we all live life and live it abundantly. Pete, I love you and Robin. Everybody, make a decision to have a great week because remember, you are the creator of your own life. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Constance.
Hmm